I always thought the worst betrayal would come from a stranger. Not from someone who tucked my hair behind my ear when I cried. Not from someone who used to call me sweetheart like she meant it. It started the night I found the pregnancy test in the bathroom trash. My dad was away on business and my stepmom, Vanessa, had been acting weird, mood swings, nausea, sudden tears. I didn't think much of it. I just assumed maybe she was going through something. Until I saw that test. Positive. My heart dropped. But before I tell you how that one pregnancy test changed everything and exposed what my mom was hiding from me, if you're a good person and like to do good things, subscribe. It's free, and it helps more than you think. My name is Ellie, and I'm 22 years old. I didn't even confront her at first. I just watched, observed. She suddenly became extra nice to me, like overcompensating, making my favorite meals, asking me about my boyfriend, Jake, more than usual. And then I found something worse, his hoodie stuffed behind the couch cushion in her home office. Jake's hoodie, the one he lost a month ago and swore he couldn't find. My stomach turned. But the real confirmation came the next night, when I heard whispers down the hall and caught just enough of their voices through the vent in the wall. It was them, in my house. And they weren't just talking. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, replaying the words I heard through the vent. His voice. Her giggle. The sound of her shushing him, saying, "Not here, she might hear us." And Jake? He whispered back, "She's not even awake. Besides, it's not like she suspects anything." My chest burned. I wasn't sure what hurt more, that Jake was cheating on me, or that it was with Vanessa, the woman who married my father. The woman who pretended to care about me. I wanted to scream, confront them, tear the whole house apart. But something in me said, no. Watch first. Collect everything. The next morning, I acted normal. Vanessa made pancakes, humming like she wasn't sleeping with her stepdaughter's boyfriend. Jake texted me good morning with a heart emoji, like he wasn't a complete fraud. I responded with a smiley face. I had a plan now. Because if what I suspected was true, that Vanessa was pregnant with his child, I wasn't just going to expose them. I was going to burn everything they built on lies. Slowly. Piece by piece. I started small. I went back into Vanessa's home office the next day while she was at her Pilates class. I'd never snooped before, but this time, I was on a mission. I opened drawers, peeked behind books, searched her laptop bag. Nothing. Until I checked the trash. Tucked beneath a wad of tissues and a Target receipt was a folded printout from a prenatal clinic. No name. Just a date. From 2 weeks ago. My hands were shaking, but I snapped a photo with my phone. I didn't need her confession. I needed evidence. Later that afternoon, Jake came over. He kissed me like nothing was wrong, like he didn't reek of someone else's perfume. I let him. I smiled. I even offered him a drink. Then I asked casually, "Do you want kids someday?" He froze for half a second, just enough for me to notice. "Yeah, sure," he said. "Why?" I shrugged, just wondering. He changed the subject faster than I could blink. And that's when I knew. They were hiding more than just a secret. They were planning something. And I had just begun to uncover it. I started recording everything. My phone stayed in my pocket, screen facing out, always listening. Conversations at dinner. Hush phone calls Vanessa took in the kitchen. Jake's excuses when he left early or arrived late. I didn't care how paranoid it made me feel. Something told me I'd need every second of it. The real shock came 3 nights later. I walked past Vanessa's door and heard crying. I paused. Not dramatic sobs, soft, choked ones. I leaned closer, barely breathing. "I can't keep lying to him," she whispered. Jake's voice followed. "Just a little longer. Once the money clears, we'll figure it out." My blood ran cold. Money? Was that what this was about? My dad's business had just signed a major deal. He was planning to retire early, cash out, buy property in Europe with Vanessa. It hit me then, if she got pregnant and left him, she'd walk away with half of everything. Unless she made it look like someone else was the problem. Someone like me. I didn't have proof of that yet. But I could feel it, like a storm building just beneath the surface. They weren't just cheating. They were building a trap. And I was the target. A week later, the trap started to spring. My dad called me into his office one evening. His face looked tired, worn down, like someone had been whispering in his ear for days. "Ellie," he said carefully, "Vanessa told me she found something troubling in your room." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "She said she found a pregnancy test. Positive. Hidden in your nightstand." I blinked. Hard. "Dad, that's not mine." "She also said she heard you crying in the bathroom something about Jake. Are you pregnant, sweetheart?" I laughed. I couldn't help it. It was either laugh or scream. "She's lying. That test? It's hers. She's the one who's pregnant." Dad's face changed. His jaw tightened. "That's a very serious accusation." "I'm serious," I said, voice shaking. "She's cheating on you. With Jake." Silence. He stared at me like he didn't know whether to believe me or send me to therapy. "Ellie, are you okay?" That was when I realized she'd already gotten to him. She was flipping the narrative, making me look unhinged. And it was working, unless I could flip it back in time. After that conversation with Dad, everything shifted. Vanessa's charm offensive went into overdrive. She was suddenly the perfect wife. Cooking meals, laughing with Dad, acting like nothing was wrong. Meanwhile, I was the one who couldn't be trusted. Even Jake distanced himself. He stopped answering my calls, avoided my texts. I saw him only when he thought I wasn't looking, whispering on the phone, slipping out of the house at odd hours. One afternoon, desperate for answers, I confronted him. "Why are you doing this?" "What did I do?" His eyes were cold. "You don't understand what's at stake, Ellie. This isn't just about us. It's bigger." "Bigger?" I asked, feeling tears sting. "Bigger than lying to me? Cheating on me?" He looked away. "You don't know the whole story." And that was the worst part. They'd both built a wall of secrets between us. A wall I had no idea how to climb. But I wasn't ready to give up. Because somewhere behind those lies was the truth. And I was going to find it. I realized I couldn't do this alone anymore. With my dad's trust slipping away and Jake shutting me out, I needed an ally. Someone who had no reason to lie or betray me. That's when I reached out to my best friend, Mia. She was smart, fiercely loyal, and had a knack for digging up the truth. When I told her everything, the pregnancy test, the whispers, the lies, she didn't hesitate. "We're going to get to the bottom of this," she said, her voice steady. Together, we started gathering evidence. Photos of Vanessa sneaking out late at night. Text messages between Jake and an unknown number. Recordings of Vanessa's phone calls when she thought no one was listening. Each piece was a thread unraveling the web they'd woven around me. But the closer we got, the more dangerous things became. One night, someone broke into my apartment. Nothing was stolen, except a folder of all the evidence Mia and I had collected. That was no coincidence. They were watching, waiting, and I had no idea what they'd do next. The break-in shattered what little sense of safety I had left. Whoever it was wanted to silence me. Wanted to bury the truth before it could come out. Mia and I regrouped, but we knew we had to be smarter. We started using burner phones, meeting in public places, encrypting every message. Every step felt like walking on a tightrope. Then came the worst moment. Vanessa confronted me at a family dinner. Her eyes were cold, like a predator, sizing up her prey. "Ellie," she said sweetly, "why don't you stop making things so difficult? You're tearing this family apart." I stood my ground. "I'm not tearing anything apart. You are." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "You think your little accusations mean anything? You're just a spoiled girl trying to ruin your family's happiness." Her words stung, but I refused to let her win. Because I had proof now. Enough to expose everything. But I still didn't know how far she was willing to go. Or what she might do next. After Vanessa's cold warning, I knew I was in deeper than ever. She wasn't just playing dirty, she was playing for keeps. That night, I stayed up scrolling through every message, every photo, every recording Mia and I had collected. One text stood out, a message from Vanessa to an unknown number. Make sure she looks unstable. The divorce will go smoother if she's the problem. My blood ran cold. They weren't just cheating or hiding a pregnancy. They were setting me up as the villain. I couldn't let that happen. I decided to confront Jake again one last time. I needed to know everything, what he was willing to risk, how far this went. When I met him, his eyes were tired, conflicted. I never wanted this to hurt you, he whispered. But it did, I said, voice shaking. And you're not protecting me. You're helping her. He looked away. I have to protect myself, he said quietly. This is bigger than us. I walked away with more questions than answers. But one thing was clear. This fight wasn't just about love or betrayal anymore. It was survival. After walking away from Jake, I felt a mix of heartbreak and resolve. He wasn't just my boyfriend anymore. He was part of a twisted plot that threatened to destroy my entire family. I couldn't rely on him, or my dad, who was still caught in Vanessa's web of lies. So I turned my focus inward. I had to protect myself. I changed my phone number, installed security cameras in my apartment, and even started carrying a small recorder in my pocket. Mia became my rock. Every evening, we'd sit together, piecing the puzzle together, trying to predict their next move. One night, while reviewing the security footage, we noticed something chilling. A shadowy figure lurking outside my window, watching. I felt my heart race. Vanessa wasn't just fighting dirty. She was stalking me. Fear gripped me, but so did determination. They wanted me silent, but I was louder than ever. I took the footage to the police. They watched the video of the figure outside my window, nodded, and filed a report. But without a clear face, there wasn't much they could do. Could be a coincidence, one officer said. We'll keep an eye out. Coincidence? Vanessa was tightening the noose around me, and they wanted to play it safe. That same week, a letter arrived at my apartment with no return address. Inside was a printed email exchange between Jake and Vanessa, arranging a meeting at a hotel. The same week, she claimed to have morning sickness. The timestamps matched the date on the prenatal clinic receipt I'd found weeks earlier. It was them. It had always been them. Still, the email ended with a single line in bold. She'll take the fall if she fights back. I stared at those words for hours. I knew what I had to do. They thought they could keep winning, because no one had stood up to them before. But I was done playing victim. Now I was going to expose them. On my terms. I booked a meeting with my dad, at his office, neutral ground. I needed to show him everything before Vanessa twisted the story any further. Mia came with me, just in case. When we arrived, Dad looked tired, older than he had just weeks ago. Ellie, he said, sighing, Vanessa told me you've been acting paranoid. I placed a flash drive on his desk. Just watch it, Dad. Please. I'm not asking you to believe me. Just see for yourself. He hesitated, but eventually inserted it into his laptop. The screen lit up. Messages between Jake and Vanessa, audio clips of them whispering about their plan, and finally, the email, the one that ended with she'll take the fall if she fights back. For a full minute, Dad said nothing. Then he leaned back slowly, the color draining from his face. She told me you were unstable, he whispered. That you were obsessed with Jake. That you tried to seduce him. My heart shattered at his words, not because he said them, but because he almost believed them. But this, he looked at me, then the screen. This changes everything. I finally saw it. Doubt creeping in. Vanessa's hold was starting to crack. After watching the footage, Dad didn't say much. He just stood up, walked to the window, and stared out at the city for what felt like forever. She lied to me, he muttered. All this time. I didn't say anything. I wanted him to feel the weight of it. He turned back to me, his voice low. Why didn't you come to me sooner? Because she got to you first, I said softly. And you believed her. That hurt him. I saw it. But instead of getting defensive, he nodded. I need time to process this, he said. We left his office quietly, but something had shifted. I could feel it. Later that night, Mia texted me. Check your email. Now. I opened it, a forwarded message from someone using an anonymous account. Attached were images from a security camera outside a hotel.
Jake.
Vanessa. Holding hands. The timestamp? 3 nights ago. After everything. They hadn't even stopped. I wasn't just exposing them anymore. I was about to destroy them. The hotel footage was the final straw. They weren't just liars. They were arrogant. So sure they had everyone fooled, even after I'd exposed them. But they made one mistake. They underestimated how much of my father's trust I'd reclaimed. The next morning, Dad called me. Come home. I want us to talk. All of us. My stomach turned. Vanessa will be there? Yes, he said. But this time, she won't be controlling the conversation. When I walked through the front door, Vanessa smiled like she always did, sickly sweet, pretending nothing had happened. Jake was there too, seated like a child caught in the principal's office. I didn't sit. Dad cleared his throat. Ellie has something she wants to share with you both. Vanessa looked at me with mock concern. Are you okay, sweetie? I smiled back, calmly placing a folder on the table. Inside, printouts of messages, photos, clinic records. Evidence she never expected me to collect. Her face dropped. Jake went pale. My dad didn't say a word, but the silence spoke louder than anything. Vanessa didn't even try to fake a smile this time. She stared at the documents like they were on fire. Where did you get this? She hissed. Jake stood up, his voice cracking. Ellie, let me explain.
No, it's not.
You've done enough explaining. My dad finally spoke. His voice was quiet, deadly. So it's true. Vanessa opened her mouth, but nothing came out. She looked to Jake, but he backed away from her like she was radioactive. Pregnant, my dad repeated, bitterly, by my daughter's boyfriend. And then you tried to make me think she was the unstable one? The silence in the room was suffocating. Vanessa's expression hardened. She was always jealous, always trying to get between us. I only did what I had to do. You're unbelievable, I said. You don't even regret it, do you? She didn't answer. But she didn't deny it either. My dad stood, eyes locked on her. Get out. She blinked. What? You heard me. Take your things. And leave. Today. And for the first time in this entire nightmare, I saw fear on her face. Real fear. Because her game was finally over. Vanessa didn't argue. She packed her bags in silence while my dad watched from the hallway, arms crossed, jaw locked tight. Every minute felt surreal. For months, she had manipulated him, played the loving wife while destroying his daughter from the inside out. And now, she looked like a stranger dragging a suitcase across the hardwood floor. Jake tried to talk to me afterward. His voice was soft, fake gentle. Ellie, I made a mistake. I didn't let him finish. You didn't just make a mistake, I said. You ruined every part of me that trusted someone. He had the nerve to look hurt. I loved you, he said. No, I replied, eyes locked on his. You loved control, just like she did. Mia pulled up seconds later. I climbed into the passenger seat without another word to Jake. He stood there on the porch, watching me drive away, already fading into the rearview mirror. He and Vanessa deserved each other, and I was finally done with them both. The weeks that followed were quiet, but not empty. My dad apologized more than once. I could see the guilt in his eyes every time we sat down for coffee or passed each other in the hallway. He'd been played just like I had. But unlike Jake or Vanessa, he took responsibility. We started rebuilding. It wasn't easy. There were still moments where the weight of it all caught me off guard, like walking past the guest room and remembering the whispers I once heard through the vent, or hearing a laugh that sounded too much like hers on TV. But every time I felt myself slipping, I reminded myself, I survived. Vanessa moved in with her sister across town. Rumor had it Jake didn't follow her. Maybe their alliance was just convenient. Maybe it never meant anything real. That part didn't matter anymore. What mattered was that I kept my sanity, my truth, and my future. They tried to take all of it, and failed. The final piece came unexpectedly. One morning, A large envelope arrived in the mail. No return address. Inside were printed screenshots. Jake begging Vanessa to claim I'd been stalking her, that I had gone unstable. In one message, he even said, "If she breaks down, your case in the divorce will be stronger." My hands trembled as I held the papers. Not from fear anymore, but from clarity. I wasn't just a victim of betrayal. I was nearly erased. But they underestimated me. I forwarded the evidence to my dad's lawyer. Vanessa's attempt to get half of everything? Denied. She walked away with nothing. No money.
No dignity.
And no one left to manipulate. Jake tried texting me weeks later. I didn't respond. He became a shadow in a life I no longer lived in. I started over. New friends. A small apartment of my own. A job I actually loved. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like me again, stronger, smarter, unshakable. They tried to destroy me, but I became the woman they never saw coming. What can we learn from this story? Betrayal from the people closest to us can cut the deepest. But even in the darkest moments, the truth has power if we trust ourselves enough to fight for it. Sometimes, healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means rising above, stronger than ever, with eyes wide open.